Welcome in, Barbarian Horde. Today, we talk about politics in RPGs, the political game. But before we do that, let me remind you, go to drivethrurpg.com. You can do it right while you're listening to this video. Pick up your hardbound, pick up your softbound, pick up your PDF versions of Within the Ring of Fire Saga book. Within the Ring of Fire, 77 Throws, the Theological Codex, the book about all the divinities of Kvegathel. You haven't picked up the books yet, you're doing yourself an RPG injustice. Join the RPG revolution and set your soul ablaze with inspiration. Fey Wine, the first novel for Within the Ring of Fire, set in Kvegathel, set in Ibifnul, will give you the drink-in deliciousness of RPG settings. Contact me, your main man, to get special discounts on the PDFs. You can get bundle packages of PDFs, get every PDF that will ever be released for Within the Ring of Fire at one low price. Also, Monsters and Men, and a little hang-up snag, getting the physical copies from DriveThruRPG. Hopefully, we'll have that sorted out very soon and have Monsters and Men up for you for sale on DriveThruRPG. The book is finished, and the Book of True Names is well in the editing, proofreading process right now, also fully written. Now, let's talk about some of these games that really personify the political aspect of RPGs, that different style. Mostly, people come in to RPGs with that hack and slash dungeon crawl sort of experience initially with the Dungeons and Dragons, with the Pathfinder, with sort of the lowbrow RPG gaming aspect, where it's let's go out at the beginning, let's slaughter goblins and gnolls and ogres and orcs, and let's take all their stuff. Let's take their rusty short swords, busted up wooden bucklers, and let's even rip off their smelly, stinky, despicable leather armor. Let's pull their drawers off and take that down to the weaver. Let's try to sell that for 1.5 copper pieces. Let's try to sell their rusty short sword to a blacksmith that's looking at you like, what? And he rocks off on you. And he should, for trying to bring that trash to him. And that style sort of wash and repeat, the same thing, different faces, different monsters, a low aspect of development or design. And not to say that that's all those games are capable of, because of course that's not the case. But we're talking about politics, and I'm up here on the building, coming to you, speaking from the ivory tower of political machinations, Clan Ventru, and we're talking about Vampire the Masquerade, really a game that put the political style on the map. We're talking about Game of Thrones, we're talking about Within the Ring of Fire. We're talking about a lot of these different games that can deliver that Magi Ascension to a lesser, limited, more organic degree War of the Apocalypse. And you can certainly bring that political style into any game. You can bring enormous mercantile houses and the individuals way up here all the way down to the guy driving the wagons. And when you play that style, it can be sort of all over the place. And really what's making me want to talk about this right now is I'm currently playing in this. This is a 3.0, not 3.5, OGL variant from the D20 line. Came out in, I think, about 2000. Conan, the role-playing game. This is the first one, not the revisement they did of this. You can check out a review of this same game right here on your main man's channel. Would WWAD know that? And you need know nothing else. Now, this game really is I really love the game. The book has enormous amounts of problems with it, but I love it. You know, and this was way back, 2003 copyright. There's a $50 book of 2003, which, you know, expensive, but full color. A lot of nice things in here. A lot of great things to talk about. But we're currently playing this in a Sunday group, a local group, face-to-face group. My man Frank, who some of you are going to know from FTR. Some of you guys will know him from this channel. He's in one or two of my videos. I talk about him a lot. But he's put together a Conan game. And he was rolling me to come in and play. And he wanted me to play this noble kind of character. I was like, all right, well, whatever. I'll do that then. And we're going to be playing this Sunday. We've only played once so far, but it really had that sort of style. My character is a noble in along with another class in Shem, and he has this real house. His house is built, so I had some design on the house. We have, you know, our mercantile interest, and the other characters kind of coming in. And like we have one, you know, his gimmicks. I'm like, okay. So I'm trying to take their gimmicks and fit them in. I try to figure out, you know, to sort of redesign and resculpt things to make it work so they could get what they want to do in the house. And then as a noble, it's almost kind of like being a demi game master in a way, because you have so much control. Now in a game like that, where you have that style, where you have very large amounts of personal power differences in the game. My character is a noble on his way trying to get trying to get like a local kingship, you know, versus one of the guys who's playing a slave, one of my slaves. So you have to be very careful to game like that. You don't just destroy their fun. It's like, yeah, he's a slave, and you don't just sit there. You don't do standard party operating. He's my slave. You understand? So there's certain things he's going to have to do in game. He's going to have to treat my character a certain way. He's going to have to do certain things. So he could get executed. So the player has to understand that. But so your job in a game like that isn't to no-sell your deal. You want to play your character the way it ought to be played. You don't just act like they're your buddies because they're player characters. What you do is you facilitate the creation of scenes for them when you're playing that. That's the responsibility you have in a position like that. You could certainly abuse it to just sit there and spotlight hog, but you don't want to do that, man. I mean, that's not going to be enjoyable for the other people. It's not going to be good for the game master when you're creating scenes that they go do. You know, for example, we had this meeting of nobles, and the other players are like in the room as my like bodyguard, essentially. And it's at my compound, my home, and one of the other ones starts mouthing off to me, and I just look at the other player character. And he pulls his bow out, just air conditions the dude. He goes down, and he's all like on the floor, and he just grabs his head and looks at me, and I go, you know, or whatever I did. He slashed the head off, and everyone else is horrified and so forth, because I got that iron fist gimmick going, and so we execute that guy. Then they go. Then I send him off to go and take care of his retinue of people he's brought with him, and they like beat them down, and then they brought one of them back to me, and we did the whole deal. Or see that facilitating created this great scene for them. I'm not there. I'm not going to run off and attack people. I'm a noble, son. I don't do that. I don't dirty these hands with that foul pollution. That's what your character's for. And a lot of people are going to love that. They're going to love to get to that high action, that big boob, the brawl. One guy was Garrow people. You know, they was brawling with these guys. As I put a plan to them, I said, you know, take them in there, bring them wine, bring the women to them and have them seduced. And boom, look how easy they are. They're taking their weapons off. They're in the middle of fornication. And that's when they drop the boom on them, and they have segregated them out. They've gotten them away from each other. So they're very easy to take out. And particularly in a game, you know, Conan is a dark, gritty, unforgiving game where you can get brutalized and get your character lost, particularly at first level. So, you know, putting a little intelligence behind that brings a lot more interest, you know, into the deal. Now, when you're doing a political game, you can do something for the example of playing politics in a City of Vampire the Masquerade, where you're moving the pieces around on the chessboard, the ghouls, the weaker vampires, the humans, the mayor of the city, the alderman, or whatever it is that you're manipulating and moving around to bring about your results, bringing about working people at the docks or the airports, controlling these power bases, controlling government and business and that merger. And you can control these things from the ivory tower that I'm coming to you right now. The Clan Ventru, the Clan Tremere, Clan Toreador, Clan Bruja, and pretty much all the rest of them. They all, to a degree, have certain members that are going to play that heavy political game. After all, in Vampire the Masquerade, your Camarilla, you're starting with a prince. You understand? We're automatically talking about politics. That's a heavy, steeped theme of the game. So you want to be able to do that. And you're going to have lots of various levels where one person probably is playing the prince or playing Primogen or so forth, and they're Ventru and they're doing these things. But you don't want to, when you're playing a game like that, you don't play like this. It's not me. You play, okay, what can I do for you? How can I facilitate you? How can I lead you into a scene? How can I do that for you? How can I excel for you? Well, yeah, I'm not big and bad. You're big and bad. I'm going to put that over and sell how big and bad you are. Sell how lethal you are with the arrow. Sell how lethal you are with the sword or with the gun or your mafia underground knowledge or connections. And we're going to bring that in. I'll bring that right to the forefront, thrust it into the game, and let you run, let you rock and roll, let you get yours. And once you facilitate and let people get theirs, boy, man, are they happy to have you in the game. They're like, yeah, this is great. And you get that heavy role play. You get them excited. You bring them back. You got that big scene. They're telling you what happened. You're, maybe chastising them or whatever. And they're gonna be fine with that. They're gonna be fine with the fact that you need to every once in a while drop a hammer on them as a character higher up, because they know that's the character. That's not you trying to use that power to fuck them over in the game, because you'll see a lot of bad players do that. You would use that power to reward them, to entertain them, to allow them to achieve as their position would dictate for your machinations inside the game. Now, you want to allow them to have fun. And once they do that, it builds up trust. So it's just like as a game master, you want to have your players trust you. As a player in a position where you're exalted to a degree through politics, through being the king or the prince or whatever it is, the leader of a noble house, a Game of Thrones, you want to have them trust you. They go, okay, well, this is a guy who's responsible. This is a guy who can handle what he's doing, and you want to be that guy. You'll be thought well of. You'll be in a position where people are like, yeah, he did that deal, and it was great. You know, he was getting us over here to do these assassinations, getting us over here to attack these people, moving us in different ways to achieve his agendas. And then they was about those agendas, and they're going to be happy. You know, they're not going to show up and be like, oh, this is, you know, whatever. They'll be like, yeah, well, what's going to go on? Because then you have the game master it kind of like top tiers down, you know, it's like trickle down, you understand, if we use a Reaganism. And the game master's given the noble this deal. Okay, we want to do this, and you have these messages, you have these choices, you have this guy's messing with you or whatever, and then I have to use these pieces, which the player characters are part of. Instead of being like a leadership feat of Dungeons & Dragons where there's a bunch of NPCs or whatever, you know, the player characters are assuming those roles, and they're going to have a great time. If you do it right. You can in that role you can ruin it, man. You can just spotlight hog, you can pawn them off, you can get them assassinated or killed if for any reason. But you don't want to do that. You want to work away from that. That could be there. It can be there. I mean, if they just start no selling like crazy, like come up and smack your mom in the face, oh, you're getting killed. The other player characters definitely get killed and stuff like that. But as long as they have some maturity and understanding and some respect on their part, in terms of what they need to be doing in the game, they should be fine. If they know their role is shut their mouth, they're going to come out okay. And you can do those scenes. You can divide it up. You send this person over here, get this assassination scene when he's playing an assassin. You can get, you know, he's trying to put the poison into wine. You can get, you know, something. And then, of course, you can be yourself in that position, still a bit paranoid of all those under you. You're like, oh, they're trying to usurp me. And that whole deal can be real cool, you know, because you could really start achieving a lot of meld just from that. And then if you bring maybe even another character in another group and they're like competing against you, you could do business with that. And in a political game, you could do them with a church. You could all be members of a church at different levels, or members of two churches working against each other, or members of a church and members of other secular organizations that through the government that are tied in. You can be members of large merchant houses, even down to the merchant caravans that are transporting the goods. So that could be an interesting deal. One person might be playing the literal head of the entire enormous empire. The other guy might be the guy in the fantasy world, having a cart with optolangs, big giant lizards within them, real fire style, baby, pull down the dusty trail with the trees. And so we're dispatching those things. You cut and you do his scenes, and he might not come back for several game sessions to be seen, but you can cut off and show us scenes. In a game like that, you're going to be doing a lot of and that, you know, that's our changing scenes kind of deal. The Vampire was sort of devised around that. 4 of us are playing, but we might not all be in the same scenes all the time. In fact, the majority of the time, it probably won't be 4 people in the same scene if you have 4 players or 6 players or whatever. But as long as you're coming back, you're bringing it, you're doing things, you know, you're passing notes, you might be with another player, you pulled them aside while Game Master's working with one dude, and then you're working with them. So you're keeping yourself involved, you're keeping yourself entertained, you're keeping yourself interactive in the RPG experience, which of course keeps you immersed, which is what you want to do. You know, what are you there for if not to play, and to play to the best of your ability and to entertain yourself for every minute you have. Remember, when the RPG ends, it ends. And regardless of how long the RPG is from ending, it's going to end. So make every minute in that RPG, every sacred second count for something in your RPG experience. That's wonderful words of wisdom from your main man unto you. So think about that, the political style in RPGs, how you can bring that into other games, how you could do that for small segments, and how you can bring those parties that are of different stations, not necessarily different levels, not necessarily different hit points or powers or anything, but of different stations. That political clout and social standing and status can be extremely important, and can certainly also help bring players back to that dominant species in the game. You know, it's like, I play a drow elf. It's like, all right, well, you're going to be in a lot of trouble, but I guess you could play somebody's drow elf slave, because they're not going to put up with that foolishness in this kind of house, you know, or you're just sort of behind the scenes kind of deal. So it limits you from, you know, certain aspects like that. But at the same time, I'm talking about drow. I mean, you can definitely run the Mrs. Abranza style game with a tremendous heavy steep politics there, which could certainly be very interesting as well. You know, someone's like, "Oh, with it, I'll be very careful. Don't ever." Like, you know, you need people that are very, very talented to pull the illithid off. That's a very difficult one. But all the same, I really enjoyed the political style. I love playing Game of Thrones. I like playing this Conan game where we're doing the politics of Vampire the Masquerade, being able to rage against it, being able to use it to manipulate, to corrupt, to inspire, to rebel, to whatever the aspect is. You can really bring a great political style game. And another thing, you know, Spartacus, like Spartacus Blood and Sand and so forth, where they had the Dominus, which did set cock. That kind of deal you could certainly pull off. You know, somebody's playing a Dominus, other people playing the slaves. You could see the interaction from that. That very well could easily have been a role-playing game. And, you know, you could see like maybe two people playing Dominuses of different groups, and, you know, slaves are getting moved back and forth at the gladiator arenas, which could be very interesting. You know, very interesting sort of game. So think about that, bringing that political style, even if you're bringing it just slightly into a game, or if you run it full blown in a game, it can produce a very different feel, theme, and feeling. This, for example, plays absolutely nothing like your standard Dungeons and Dragons game from this game we're playing in, because it's, you know, it's different. And it, at the same time, the character who's a noble is sort of segregated himself out from scenes. I'm not trying to like run up there to the front lines and attack. Oh, hell no. You know, get them. I'm like trying to defend myself and so forth. I'll try to get standard attacks of opportunity. I'm trying to get away from taking one hit point. I don't want to take one damn hit point of damage. Oh, hell no. So think about that. What have been your experiences with political-based games? And comment back right here to your main man. Let me know what that is. Remember, your main man just started a Twitter account, yourmainman_RPG. Follow me there. Join Main Man on Facebook. You can see the link right here for my channel. And Raw Immersive Games on Facebook. You can join that page. You can talk about RPGs, talk about Within the Ring of Fire. Find Google Plus groups, find Skype groups on there, find groups for Within the Ring of Fire and other RPGs that people are running. Lots of games have formed off of that page, and you certainly want to get yourself involved with that RPG immersive delight. Until next time, I am, now and always, your main man.